Hi folks, HR Funk here with a brand new CMMG rifle to review. This is the 300 series CMMG Resolute rifle. Some of you may recall a few months ago I made a review video on the CMMG Banshee AR style pistol, and just like the Banshee, the Resolute here was supplied by Chevalier Advertising. And as always, I let you know up front when I don't spend my own money for a firearm, but it's supplied to me by an advertiser. Even so, you will always get my honest opinion of the product under review. Now, as I said a moment ago, this is the 300 series of the Resolute rifle. The Resolute comes in a 100, 200, and 300 series. The 100 series is the entry-level rifle with just the basic features of pretty much any AR. The 200 series features a few more embellishments, and the 300 series, which is the one I have here, is the fully equipped, full-featured rifle. And this is the one we're going to take a look at. One thing before I get going, though, is the MSRP of the Resolute does vary from series to series and cartridge chambering to cartridge chambering. The Resolute rifles come chambered in a variety of popular rifle and handgun cartridges, everything from .22 long rifle all the way up to .458 SOCOM is chambered in the Resolute. This particular one is chambered for the 556 by 45 NATO cartridge, and as I said, this is the one we're going to take a close look at. As you can see, CMMG does not strictly adhere to the black rifle concept, at least in terms of appearance. This particular rifle is finished in an OD green Cerakote, and the Resolute is available in a variety of other Cerakote colors if you prefer something different. The heart of any rifle is its barrel, and the Resolute comes with a 16.1 inch medium taper 40-41 steel barrel with a 1-in-7 rifling twist. It also has standard 1/2 by 28 threads, and this one is topped with CMMG's own SV muzzle brake. The Resolute has a forged receiver. It's forged from 7075 aluminum. It also has a flat top A4 style upper receiver, and as you can see, it has CMMG's RML15 M-LOK style handguard. Just like the Banshee I reviewed previously, the Resolute features CMMG's extra large ambidextrous charging handle for easy charging with an optic in place, and you can see even with the scope mounted, I have no problem at all accessing the charging handle and charging the weapon. It also has an Ambidextrous Safety and a single point sling attachment. The Resolute uses CMMG's ripstock, which can be collapsed to its shortest length and then extended simply by pulling the stock to whatever length you want. It can be adjusted to stop at any of the 6 positions on the stock. Now, as I said earlier, the heart of every rifle is its barrel. But if that's true, the soul of every rifle is its trigger. And I'll safety check the rifle quick. The Resolute comes with a 2-stage Geisley trigger. I should say the 300 series of the Resolute comes with a 2-stage Geisley trigger that is very nice, has very nice brake, and we're going to try this on the trigger pull scale momentarily and see exactly where that trigger is braking. And here we go, folks. This is a little bit of a juggling act, but I'll see if I can get a good trigger pull weight with my scale. Braking at about 4 3/4 pounds. 4 pounds, 13.1 ounces. Let's try another pull. And pretty close to the same. 4 pounds, 14.7 ounces. So between 4.5 and 5 pounds, the trigger is braking, and it is a very clean brake with this 2-stage Geisley trigger. And finally, the 300 series of the Resolute features a Magpul MOE trigger guard and pistol grip. This particular version of the Resolute has an unloaded weight of 6 pounds, 7 ounces, an overall length of 32.7 inches with the stock fully collapsed, and an overall length of just over 36.5 inches with the stock fully extended. The Resolute features a mid-length gas system, and just like the Banshee before it, it comes without any sights. And that's really my only criticism of this rifle is for an MSRP of $1,550, I think it should come with some sights. That said, I've now had the Resolute for several weeks, and shortly after I got it, I topped it with a fairly inexpensive red dot and headed off to the range to do some zeroing. So after my initial zeroing, I backed off to a distance of 200 yards from the target and did some more shooting with my Resolute and that red dot sight. Let's go out and take a look at how that went. And here we are on the range, folks. In just a couple of minutes, I'm going to start to do a little bit of extended distance shooting with the Resolute to see what kind of accuracy potential it has. I have 3 different kinds of match ammunition that I'm going to be using out here today, and I'm set up at a distance of 200 yards from my human silhouette target. So in just a moment, I'm going to get things ready to go, and we'll see what kind of accuracy it's capable of producing. And here we go, folks. In case you can't tell, I'm dealing with some wind out here today, but I'm still going to go ahead with this test and see what kind of accuracy we can get from the Resolute. I hope the wind noise is not too great for you to be able to hear what I'm saying. First ammunition in the test is the 55 grain Frontier match ammunition that the Resolute did very well with when I was zeroing it at 100 yards. Let's see how it does with the same ammunition from 200 yards. And there we go. 5 rounds of the Frontier match ammunition from 200 yards through the Resolute. That group's not looking bad. We can definitely see the effects of the wind today on that 55 grain bullet. But when I go back, the next 2 loads have heavier bullets, and we'll see how they look from 200 yards, shooting them at the same target. By the way, folks, one more point about that group that we just saw from the Frontier ammunition and what we're going to see with the next 2 types of ammunition is that the Resolute is just outfitted right now with a simple red dot optic. If I had a magnified optic on here, we could probably imagine that group that we just saw would be considerably smaller. The next ammunition in this test is going to be a hand load. This is actually a hand load that I used last year up at Camp Perry during the Modern Military match, and this features a 68 grain Hornady match bullet, so it is a heavier bullet than we just saw with the Frontier ammunition. Let's see how the Resolute does from this distance with it. And as we can see, the wind did not have nearly as much effect on that bullet as it did on 55 grain Frontier load that I used for the first time. But we do see some vertical stringing here, and what I noticed with that 68 grain Hornady match bullet is rifles either like it or they don't. And I tend to think the Resolute probably does not like that bullet too well. But here again, if I had a true magnified optic on there where I could pinpoint my point of aim just a little bit more, we would probably see this group diminish somewhat too. Nevertheless, let's go back and try our last match load in the Resolute for the day. The last ammunition for today's test is Black Hills 77 grain match ammunition. This is the heaviest bullet that I'm going to be using today. Let's see how it does in the Resolute. And not bad with the 77 grain Black Hills ammo from 200 yards. I've got one shot that made it out of this center area. One's on the line, one of them made it out here. Now, I don't know if you could tell through the video or not, but after the second shot, the wind started to gust considerably, and I was actually holding off over here on the target as I was squeezing off those shots. So I'm not sure if this was one of my first two before I started to compensate for it, or if I didn't compensate enough and the wind managed to push one of those last three shots over into this area. I'll have to watch the video back to see. Either way, with that kind of wind gusting, those shots still easily stayed within the silhouette, and again, the Resolute is performing well from that distance of 200 yards. So, not a bad 200-yard performance from the Resolute. Now let's head back to the shop. And as you can see, even in those windy conditions, the Resolute still acquitted itself quite nicely. So my next trip out to the range, I decided to do a little bit more close range shooting and also find out whether or not the Resolute is a tack driver. And it's time to try a few close range drills with the Resolute. I've moved up to a distance of 10 yards from the target. From here, I'm going to run several drills with the Resolute and we'll see how it does. Folks, I know what you're really interested in. Is the Resolute a tack driver? Well, I'm about to find out. I have 3 rounds. I'm going to load them into the magazine, and from this distance of 30 feet, I'm going to see if I can take the Resolute and whack a tack. Just a little low. I have to hold over just a little bit more. I do have some offset between my sight and the bore of the Resolute from this distance. Folks, I can't tell if the tack is still there or not. I'm going to have to go up and take a look. And I'm shooting into a little bit of a shadow, folks, and from back there I could not see this shot hole in the dark ring, and I also couldn't tell whether the tack was still there. So I have one more try. I'm going to go back and fire that one out and see if I can still whack a tack. Yes! I can definitely see that. The Resolute is a 30-foot tack driver. And there you go, folks. The Resolute continues to run well. I've run several different types of ammunition through this since I've had it. I've not cleaned it or done any maintenance on it or even lubed it, and it's never missed a beat. It continues to cycle well. It's performed well in the close range drills that I just did. It's a tack driver, and I'm going to do a little bit more shooting with it before I send it back, but so far I'm very favorably impressed with the Resolute. One last comment about that tack driving shot, folks. The center line of my red dot sight was offset about 2 3/4 inches above the center line of the Resolute's bore. So when I was aiming at that tack, I was actually aiming a little more than 2.5 inches over it, and trying to guesstimate just about where to hold in order to drive that thing out of there. Even so, in the end, the Resolute came through and proved itself a tack driver. So after those 2 trips to the range, I was very impressed with the Resolute's performance, but I really felt like I hadn't given it a fair shake yet in terms of its accuracy potential. And that's where my friends from Optics Planet came through, and they provided me with this very nice Redfield Revolution 3-to-9 power scope. And this scope is going to get its own review in the very near future. They also included this UTG mount, which is very nice in its own right. You can see the lightning cuts there to reduce the weight of the mount. So after attaching the scope to the Resolute, I headed back to the range to see what kind of accuracy I can wring out of it. And let's take a look at that right now. And here I am on the range with the Resolute. As I said back in the shop, I now have the 3-to-9 power Redfield scope attached to it. Again, that was compliments of Optics Planet. And as a reminder, if you order anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, you'll get 5% off of anything you order from Optics Planet. I'm now set up at a distance of 100 yards with the Resolute. And because of the number of people out here on the range today, I'm not going to be able to set up my second camera and actually show video of the bullets as they impact the target. So what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of video of me shooting, then I'll go down and pull the targets and come back and show you what type of groups that I'm getting. Again, my ammunition for today is Black Hill 77 grain match, and I'm going to load it up, start to shoot, and we'll see just what kind of accuracy I can wring out of the Resolute from this distance of 100 yards. Folks, I think it's safe to say I got some very good accuracy with the Resolute and that Redfield scope. When I got out to the range, I put a rough 0 on it, got set up at 100 yards, and fired what ended up being my last zeroing group, which is this one right here. That group came in at 0.75 inches. After that, I came up 1 minute of angle, and I fired this group. Looks like a 2-shot group, but it's actually a 3-shot group. That one came in at 0.25 inches. I also fired this group, another very nice one, came in at 0.375 inches. The last one that I fired, and there's some of me in this one, but it came in at 1 inch, and this last one really is me. I knew that was not a good shot when the trigger broke, and part of this group size is me. Even so, those 4 groups come up to an average group size of 0.6 MOA, which is very impressive for that rifle, and it's also very impressive for the Black Hills ammunition. So with this range test out of the way, let's go back to the shop one more time and wrap things up. So there you have it, folks. That's my review of the CMMG 300 series Resolute rifle, chambered for the 5.56 NATO cartridge. Overall, I am very impressed by the Resolute. My only real criticism is that it doesn't come with any sights. I think for the MSRP that this rifle has, it should come with sights. Otherwise, it's priced incommensurate with other premium AR-15 style rifles from other manufacturers. And as I said, this is a very good rifle. If you're in the market for this type of an AR style rifle, I would strongly suggest you take a look at the Resolute. Once again, it's chambered for a variety of different cartridges, so if you don't want one in 5.56 NATO, but you want a 9mm, or you want a 7.62 by 39, or you want something else, take a look at the CMMG website and see if the Resolute is offered in that chambering. And there's the music, folks. So that means this video is coming to an end. If you have any questions or comments, as always, make sure you forward those to me. And until next time, good shooting. Bye-bye.